Welcome to Hope on Fire, relevant talk radio for young adults. Whether you're 25 or 45, there's bound to be a discussion that you care about. Our mission is to share practical ways to find God in your everyday life. And now today's host, Chris Lang.
Statistics from the book Unchristian reveal significant negative feelings toward Christianity by young adult outsiders. While 75% believe that Christianity has good values and principles, the majority perceive us to be judgmental, hypocritical, old-fashioned, boring, insensitive to others, and etc. Should I go on? While not every young adult who gets hurt as a child becomes an outsider later in life, their vision of Jesus is often injured along with their hearts. Jesus may still be seen as high and holy, but his unconditional love and joy is often hijacked. In spite of the injuries, for those who won't give up, their sometimes unorthodox journey to Jesus can be an inspiration to other outsiders who have long since left. Hi, I'm Chris Lang, and today's topic is Hope for Outsider Syndrome. My guests today are Susan Culey and Sabine Vatel. Susan has owned and operated successful hair salons for almost 20 years and lives here in the Orlando area. Sabine is back with me in the studio. She's pastor for discipleship here at the Forest Lake Seventh-day Adventist Church. She also is based here in the Orlando, Florida area. Welcome both of you today to the studio.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You look great, Susan.
Thanks, Chris.
Wow.
Thanks.
I mean, it's great to finally have this time come to be where we can share your story for the world.
You've been talking about it for a while.
It has been.
Finally doing it.
Amen. Well, Susan, let's just jump right into this. This context for the opening today. It's a pretty sad indictment, isn't it, Sabine? The statistics from this book, Unchristian. And for those of you who have never seen this book before, the Christian leaders, church members, anyone who wants to see the truth about what outsiders feel about Christianity, this book is a pretty scary indictment on us, isn't it?
It is. It speaks to that old adage that people oftentimes love the Christ, but not so much the follower, the Christians. And it speaks to the fact that we perhaps need to do a better job in showing the Christ that we profess. And we have a long way to go, but there's hope, as this show is going to show pretty soon.
Susan, you didn't grow up in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, did you?
Well, from about when I was 6 or 7 years old. Before that, we were Catholic.
And what happened with your parents in that stage of transition between being Catholic to Seventh-day Adventist? Were there significant lifestyle changes for you that you noticed as a child?
Oh, yes.
And what was it like?
Well, we had been raised Catholic, and so a loose-based religion, and my mom was a devout Catholic, but as far as drinking, smoking, things like that, and not as an Adventist, Seventh-day Adventist type of way. And my father was a drinker, heavy drinker, and so my parents split over that. And so my stepfather came along, and he was doing some Bible studies with my mom and brought her into Adventism.
Wow.
And so then things drastically changed.
And things got pretty strict.
Oh, yeah.
And what did God look like to you back then? How was it being shown to you as a kid?
Well, with the Catholic background, a lot of it is what you do. What you do is
kind of earning God's favor.
Earning God's favor, exactly. And for Seventh-day Adventists, my parents kind of brought their Catholicism into Adventism, and so they would say, if you want God's love, you would have to do this or this, and then he'll love you. And if you don't do that, you're a bad witness. So you don't do that, and
Jesus won't love you, or something like that.
And so I always believed that there was the good God, and I believed that that he was there, because they didn't all speak just the negative. They did speak of the love of God, but it was overshadowed. Like Mom had the song Trust and Obey. She would wag her little finger and instead of the trust and obey.
Did she sing it in harmony with her husband as they shared the truth of Jesus with you?
Right. Well, no, Ben couldn't sing with the hoot.
All right.
But yes, they would harmonize on it.
In stereo, at least.
Right. And so instead of the trust and obey, it would be trust and obey. So that little wagging finger would be going, and so it would be, you have to turn around and obey in order for God to love you, in a way, is what, as a young child, and through my teen years, also came across to me. It was very strong. It was very works oriented.
You're a pretty outgoing person by nature, friendly in your community, easily connecting socially, and we'll talk more about that gift God gave you, by the way, later. As a teenager, how is the devil working in your life to try and destroy you?
Oh,
using your gift against you, and maybe getting involved in friendships, circles, habits. What was happening to you then?
Well, in all the while that I was living at home until I was 15 or 16, it was very strict. There was no contact with the outside world. I was raised in self-supporting ministry in health institutions. So my parents, my mom and my stepfather, got their training at a very religious, strict institution. And so
you had no salt on the table.
No, salt was allowed. Pepper was definitely not. Yes, and but we were the woohoo family because we used margarine.
Oh, okay.
So once in a while we got to use margarine, but there was no milk, eggs, and cheese. Complete vegan diet. Dresses, from all the way up here to your neck, down to the bottom of your wrists, and down to your ankles, and so it was very strict.
So you were really looking for a bit of liberation, maybe, from that sort of stifling sense that you were made for something else?
Right, but along the way, I just would have glimpses of God. I knew that there was God, that the good God was there. He wasn't just this wagging the finger, you can't do this kind of thing. That I knew that love was there, and I'd get glimpses and feel it, and I'd be drawn into him, and be reading my Bible and just having a feeling of God's love. And then my parents would, I'd get in trouble for something, and then so much for the happy feelings of God, and I just started thinking rebellious and wanting to be like my cousins and like normal people instead of walking to a room.
Normal, quote unquote.
Right.
Whatever that means. Now, what did that look like when you started doing the normal thing? The partying, drinking. When did you start drinking and smoking?
I started... I was on my own since I was 16. My mom let me move in with a family friend who was a wonderful woman, and she says, well, you're not going to be marrying a pastor like your parents think, so we need to find you a career. So she helped me get going in the line of a career, which was the hair design. And so once I moved out from her is when, and I got completely on my own at the age of 16, 16 to 17, and then that's when the partying began, and the smoking, not cigarettes, but I tried cigarettes, but
doing a little marijuana now and then.
Oh, more than now and then. Yeah, so from when I was about 17, I started smoking and drinking, and
So you were out on your own at a young age. When did you open your first hair salon?
When I was 26.
Oh, okay. So between 17 and 26, were you working in a salon?
Well, I was working about 2 or 3 jobs to eat and to put myself through beauty school. And so I went from age 17 to 19. and had a real horrible relationship, somebody very abusive. And Mom did not teach me about boys and how men were supposed to treat women. I wasn't supposed to get married till I was 81. It's our little thing around our house was, and so dating wasn't even in the sights, and so I knew there was no hope for me. But
so relationships with men was sort of fast paced at that stage of your life,
and
looking for love,
and in the drugs. And one of this particular boyfriend was a drug dealer, and just with the negative stuff, breaking somebody out of prison, and or so he said, and
right.
So it was pretty rough,
yeah.
and just living like that, and then trying to break away from that. When I realized it was all lies and what it was, and so then it came to a horrible head when I said it's over.
Now, I met you in the early 90s. I'm a good friend of your brother, Larry.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're like a second brother to me, for sure.
And I got to know Susan at a time when you were on the top of your game from a world's perspective. Mm. You were in the clubs, you were doing Hawaiian Tropic, these beauty pageants, and you were winning awards as the Orlando Hairdresser of the Year. I mean, big
best
stuff.
Best hairstylist of Central Florida.
I mean, big stuff. And I saw you were, rubbing shoulders with people like Sylvester Stallone, Hollywood stars, getting that close to famous people.
Ooh, I know you knew Rocky.
Well, I didn't know him. I just
she rubbed shoulders with him.
I was rubbing shoulders is about. We'll glorify it that way. But I've had some others.
I saw that picture on a refrigerator, so yes. I know this is true.
Yes, and some other rock stars and musicians and getting backstage and knowing people, because doing hair, and a lot of people knew me, so the promoters and different things would get me into things, and then I would just make friends with the different people, Eddie Money, and I haven't even thought of names to say, being a name dropper. And
Now, we're about ready to go into our break, and before we go into the break, we're going to show everyone a clip of the end of the beginning. As our famous Churchill said back in the Second World War, the end of the beginning. This is Sue's new life, and we're going to talk about how the Lord led her to this recommitment to follow Jesus from the water.
Just makes you happy. I'm so glad that God has been patient with me for all these years. He's so awesome. And mercy, well, he's got a lot of mercy for me. Trust me, many nights driving home when I couldn't even see, and he got me home without a DUI, so I'm very thankful for that. Amen. I just can't believe how having his mercy in my life has dawned on me even closer to has drawn me closer to his side.
Your love for God and your desire to belong to him, and because of your commitment to make him first in everything that you do, I now baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Oh, honey. That was good. Out of here. Get your shoes and have some leave them behind you. I don't know. It's got to
Stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages. You're listening to Hope on Fire, Relevant Talk Radio. Welcome back. I'm Chris Lang, your host on Hope on Fire, Relevant Talk Radio for young adults. I'm here in the studio today with my friends Susan Culey and Sabine Vatel. Welcome back, my good friends.
Awesome to be here.
Thank you.
This is fun. I mean,
it is.
How cool to give God glory right before our break when you're in the middle of telling, inserting God right there. And it's amazing because God was about to take you through some pretty difficult times in your life. There you were, before we played this clip, we were on your journey where you were on top of your game, you were winning awards, but then some things turned bad in your life. I mean, really bad. What happened?
Well, along the way in those heavy party days and the good the good life, traveling and doing everything that I did and running my business and at the top of my game, with all the partying and things. Like in the evenings when it's all over, you're trying to fall asleep after partying hardy and you couldn't fall asleep, and God would just comfort me. And just, there's a verse in scripture that he kept coming back to me with, and he who hath begun a good work and you will finish it. Because I knew that God was there. I'd go to church some, and I would read spiritual things here and there while partying, while under the influence, but he's still there. And I just knew that he hath begun a good work in me would finish it. It's a matter of when. And so that's when things started going bad, and when Mom was hit with the stroke.
So your mom got sick, and you became a pretty much full-time primary caregiver.
Right.
For a number of years, didn't you?
Right, 3.5 years. And Larry, my brother, moved back from Nashville. He was working on his music career there, and he came back from there to help me with Mom, not to leave it all on my shoulders. And we took care of Mom, and we tried everything to get her back. We flew in health gurus to try to work with her, exercise and diet and everything possible to try to get her back. But each week we'd be going to church. Every week I'd be bringing her to church, and Larry would take her home, would get her out of the nursing home, and I'd load her in my Jeep and wheelchair and all, and take her to church.
That's awesome.
And it got me in there.
That's awesome, Susan. Now, your mom passed away after several years of that journey, and it was like triple trouble happened in your life. What happened next?
Well, then a couple of years went by, and I opened a second salon, and then I was going along, and on January 30th, 2003, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Breast cancer?
Out of the blue.
And what happened to you? You went through radiation and chemo at that time?
Chemo, radiation, when they start you, when the word cancer comes, it was devastating. And I was just so shocked. But they start everything. It's a whirlwind that they take you. You go into doctors, specialists, blood tests, injections, and all these things. And I had a couple of surgeries, a couple of lumpectomies, and then the chemo, radiation, and I had to have a radical hysterectomy because my first type of cancer was hormone induced. So I had to have all my female organs ripped out. And,
wow.
And so it was quite a shock to my body. And then the chemo was devastating. I wound up in the hospital so often because of the chemo and just the reaction that my body would have against it. And then the radiation went on for months. And my family, my cousins, my aunt, my dad, my stepmom, my brother was just the rock, just the rock. He is the priest of our household. He is the spiritual leader, and he carried me so much with how he was. And my family would come and take care of me, and they would do shifts. Nancy Enneking had helped with getting me financial aid because I wasn't able to work, and I've been self-employed. I had to let the salons go because of the cancer.
So financial difficulties were just crippling.
Yes, on top of just being able to move from the bed to the couch and then not able to work, and then all this finances stuff. Nancy made a way to get help for that. And then my cousins, Rosemary, would come from Naples and come up every 3 weeks or 6 weeks to do a shift with either my chemo or my surgeries to take care of me.
So you had a lot of family support, and you went through this drill twice?
Yes.
You were re-diagnosed, and then you had a mastectomy?
Yes, January 20th, 2004, so exactly a year later, I got diagnosed with another different type of cancer completely. And then I had to get a double mastectomy at age 39.
Wow.
So that was harsh, especially when I've been in shape all my life and been able to look good, always look the part, and to start having the problems with the lymphedema from swelling and the steroids and all the medication and all the side effects, plus from the hysterectomy. So my once nice body turned into an old lady's body.
Well, you know, and you struggled through in your recovery period the last several years, you know, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, depression, prescription meds to try to combat these symptom issues. But in the middle of all of this, I want to spend the last few minutes we have left. You started writing a book.
Yes.
And you started making friends with Sabine recently.
Yes.
Talk about the inspiration behind your book and the journey and how that's helped in your healing, in your faith. By the way, Sabine, for a couple years now, I hear nothing but statements of faith out of this lady. And everyone hears what she's been going through.
Yeah.
What did you see in Susan as she was the last recent time as you began to make connect with her as a friend?
You know, Chris, what impressed me about Susan, well, apart from her being so open and embracing, you know, of people and me and people come on her path, is somebody who clings to God. I think of somebody who just, no matter what, you know, even if you were to shake you, you just hold on for dear life.
Never letting go.
You know, Psalm 63 says that my soul clings to you, God, and my right hand will uphold me, I think it says, or his right hand will uphold me. And I think of Jacob, who had everything. I mean, Jacob was blessed with stuff. I mean, he had a lot of stuff and success, or the trappings of success. But he held on to God and said, you know, God, I will not let you go until you bless me. Because he realized that no matter how much he had, unless God was going to bless him, he's not going to let him go. He came out of that broken, but yet God was the person with a capital P he clung to. So when I think of Susan, I think of somebody who just holds on to for dear life. And through it all, that's what she's doing. And she's still doing and inspiring us to do that too. So that's what I think of.
And that's neat how you say that about Jacob.
That's beautiful.
That's very, very interesting.
Now, Susan, you started, you know, this clip we showed of your baptism, you started going to Toastmasters, which is a community.
It's a speaking club. Speaking dinner club. Yes.
And, you know, I was taken by the poise that you had in your posture, your delivery, everything. I feel like God has had a hand in guiding you to today, this broadcast, this recording session, and investing yourself in Toastmasters to learn something that you were quite afraid of before.
Oh, yes.
So I give you this special trophy.
Thank you. I'm so very proud of it. I'm so very proud of it.
I just see the hand of God in this because you're writing a book. You've learned how to present yourself in public with such poise. Learning. You're in the process of learning. This is grade 101, whatever.
This is an award for the most improved that the people in my club have seen me improving. And so this is my fellow club members of 1066 Club.
Powerful.
That they have infused me with love and support and encouragement. And so it's made me be able to do what I want to do, is talk about God. The whole reason I got into Toastmasters was to learn how to promote my book that is made to help people, to encourage people, whether you've been through cancer or serious illness, depression, if you've been through drugs and alcohol and still have a hard time with it, even though you're walking the walk with God, he's still there with us.
Amen.
And whatever the problem, you know, he is there. And so that's what the purpose of the book is. And the inspiration was, I just want to help people. God's bailed me out so much and it's helped me. And I just want to help other people. That's all I want to
do. Sabine, at Susan's rebaptism, behind your cute little house in that lake is where that was taken.
Yes, and it was Delta Burke's house she grew up in. Yes.
We only have a minute and a half left. Time flies. About a minute left. I was so taken by the mixture of humanity in her backyard. At welcoming her at her baptism, there were smokers and drinkers, and there were people from the Seventh-day Adventist Christian Church, and there were homosexuals there in the audience. the Spirit of God was there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Didn't you feel that?
When we came out of the water, and before that, I mean, they were there for Susan. I mean, they love her to pieces, and there were people that were there to support her, and one who'd never seen a baptism in her life. She was quite excited about the prospect.
Oh.
But I just had a sense that I was in church. And because I felt the Spirit of God and Jesus would have been there, and this is nowhere else would he be at home but there, and I wanted to be what Jesus was going to be, you know.
Amen.
And it felt
Thank you.
like I was.
Thank you.
There was no ceiling or stained glass, but
He
it
was
was
so
church
there.
to me being there.
Now
Yeah.
we got a minute left. You're helping. You guys are working together. God has arranged for you guys to partner in a new ministry at your house,
I've
sort
been
of like a
wanting to
house
do
church.
this.
This is Susan's gifts, to be able to reach to people in which I wouldn't be able to, I don't think. But she has a gift to reach out to people of various backgrounds.
But
and
it's
we're
God.
gonna-
It's God bringing the people. I just am willing to be used because I pushed it away for so many years. And now I've learned the God who is the God, the real God. Would the real God stand up? Yes, he is. And he stood up and has carried me through all this stuff and through all the hell. He's carried me so much. And I just want to share with my friends and people and just how cool God is. He's not a mean wagging your finger God.
Basically, an invitation to your community.
Yes.
exactly right.
People of all walks of life.
And have good
worldviews.
food, have good pasta, have some sauce.
She's a good cook, by the way.
Yes.
You know that,
and,
right?
and just, show the love. Show the love.
Thank you guys for coming today. It's
Thank you
amazing how
so
time
much.
for
flies.
having us.
Yes.
God bless you all. We hope that you'll join us next time here on Hope on Fire. We hope you've enjoyed today's program. God bless you.
Hope on Fire is produced by Livestreams Media, a listener-supported ministry. To download a free copy of today's program or be a part of our social network, please visit our website at hopeonfire.org. You may also contact us by writing to Livestreams Media, P.O. Box 608513, Orlando, Florida 32860, or online at hopeonfire.org. Thank you so much for your letters and continued support. Until next time, may God set your hope on fire.